My Concerns for the Future of Halo by Installation00.
I have some concerns. So I've had some time to think, as a decent amount of time has now passed since news has come out, or rumours have come out regarding the potential of a Halo CE remake, and I've been kind of reflecting on Halo in general in recent months, years, and all the way back to kind of its golden era. And I've kind of been weighing things up in my head, and I've been processing, and I've come to some conclusions, and they are not comfortable ones.
Oh no.
But I feel like I need to voice them, just if nothing else, just to add my voice to the conversation. And then there may be follow-up videos to this as well. So today we're going to have a few uncomfortable conversations, but I hope that at the end of it we have a kind of a clearer picture on the lay of the land for Halo, what's going on with Halo, what has happened with Halo, and perhaps even finish up with a glimmer of hope. Either way, this is not going to be comfortable. It needs to be said. So let's...
Cozy Installation 00 hours. Love the office chair. When are we getting more like Installation 00 office chair content? Straight up like Halo ASMR. Reads through like the Halo 2 like little game booklet you got with the game. Straight up.
All that intro.
So good. His intro is great. I love it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and I wanted to discuss Halo in general today. And first things first, I want to discuss the content drought, because it is abundantly clear that there is yet again a huge content drought in the Halo universe. Now, it's, for me as a content creator, obviously a content drought isn't good. Not having new lore come out is a problem. But we also have to bear in mind that Halo is an expansive universe and has a huge amount of information to call from. So as a content creator, although the content drought is difficult, there's no new things to bring to the fore, there is still a plentiful supply of old things to bring forward. Now, there's a few problems there. It's not like that. It's not like there's a lack of lore to cover in the Halo universe. It's huge. There's tons of lore. For me, as a content creator, it's about bringing content to my audience that hasn't been done or rehashed numerous times by my other learned friends and fellow content creators.
He brings up a good point here, though. How many videos have you seen on, Halo 3's cold storage, and how you have the teleporters that were set to recursive, and there were like the interlopers and the old like Bungie.net logs? How many videos have you seen on that? How many videos have you seen in regards to the Flood, the Gravemind, key mines, before and after lore changes, right? Everybody and their brother has done a Flood video. And that's not to be, mean at that. That's not to be mean at that. I'm pretty sure Roanoke Gaming did one, right? I think Hidden Xperia has done some on it. Installation 00. Everybody loves the Flood, right? We want more Flood. And that's why, Waking the Nightmare from Halo Wars 2 was actually very well received, because we knew, Gravemind's still down on, High Charity. Like, he's still just there. Like, the Flood have been contained for now. And it was just cool to kind of see that. So I like what he brings to the table, and content droughts are absolutely a thing. How many times has, say, Destiny 2 been dying, right? Whether that's going to be Curse of Osiris, whether that's Lightfall era, right? How many times has Destiny 2 died, and you watch your favorite content creators, whether that's Dado, My Name is Bife, Astacross, etc. How many times have you seen their numbers, just drop while there is a content drought? Halo, yes, has a lot of cool stuff, right? What is it? Between Halo 1 and 2, it was the prison ship where Oni was using the Flood on prisoners as experiments, right? Stuff like that's really cool. Or, we could have a whole thing in regards to, even from Infinite, the Endless, if we knew more about them, right? We have extended novels where the Didact, right? Didact had his resolution recently, from what I understand, in a book. And it's certain subjects will sell, though. Even if you wanted to do the most obscure piece of Halo trivia, at the end of the day, do people care? And that's catch-22. So you can absolutely go in with the, hey, I want to cover this obscure thing that happened in a book. Awesome. Cool. But if it gets, 10K views, but you can make another video on the flood and it gets 500,000 views, right? It becomes a conflict of interest.
It's bringing something different and unique, bringing my own perspective on things that really brings me joy in what I do. That is why I think my most detailed series does so well, or was doing so well, because it was exploring existing lore, things we're all familiar with, but adding a level of detail that is far above and beyond what anyone else was doing.
I can agree, hard agree. Organic feedback right here and now. I go to Installation00 because he has put more time into his videos. Like, that's not me, complaining about Mint Blitz. That's not me complaining about Hidden Xperia. That's not me complaining about other Halo content creators, right? I go to Installation00 because do I want to watch an hour breakdown on the entirety of the Halo array? Hell yeah, I do. Do I want to go on a most detailed breakdown of how the Mjolnir platform works? Hell yeah, I do. And I go in, and he comes in with a very unique perspective that comes across as very learned. It comes across as, like, this is what I've done. This is the research I've done. These are my findings, right? It reads very scientific, right? And I love that. I love that about his content, which is why, like, one, I don't want to react to it, because not only length, but also because, like, I would be doing it a disservice to pause and add feedback. Like, his breakdown series, right, is so good. It is so next level, and I want to see this man succeed so bad.
But of course, the big issue therein is that if we're going over old lore all the time and never really bringing anything new to the table, eventually people are going to get bored. People are going to get tired of the same themes. Yeah, I might bring a video forward that looks at something from the old lore in a slightly different perspective, but is it different enough to actually attract people to hit that button, to click the video, to watch it for a bit? It's a toss-up, and I think that's partially what we're seeing with many of the creators within the Halo sphere going on at the moment. We're creating videos based in the franchise that we all love, but it's still rehashing the same old lore that we've covered numerous times from numerous different angles.
So hear me out, because I actually have some interesting input on this. And I encourage you, chat. How many videos have you seen about Rainbow Six Siege? How many videos have you seen on Fortnite? How many videos have you seen on Lethal Company? How many videos have you seen on Helldivers 2? You know who I'm talking about, right? Who goes above and beyond, right? Russian Badger, and many other creators as well. But when you think about, like, Rainbow Six Siege, Hamster Chief lobsters the Fortnite, right? No, that's the Fortnite video. Or like Master Chief, the Sledge video, right? Why does his videos get millions of views, where if I were to, and this is not me bashing on myself by any means, right? If I were to make a similar video on Siege, maybe it gets like 200 views, right? One, you can argue outreach, but two, there's care and time that Badger puts into his videos. I actually really liked going back through his Dead Space videos, Dead Space 2 and 3, because, like, well, that's a niche game, okay? I have niche interests. I like Resident Evil, and I like Dead Space, okay? I like that kind of cosmic horror kind of thing. Halo's in there because the Flood and all that as well, right? I love it. I love watching how just anatomy warps and twists, whether it's Las Plagas, whether it's a Flood Spore, whether it's, the Prophet being fused with the Gravemind. I kind of love that kind of thing. And even if you're rehashing old information, you can still make it unique, right? If I were to make a Dead Space 2 video tomorrow, right? What am I doing with it? Am I using it as an educational bit? Am I using it as a bit for, like, what's the word I'm going for? Am I using it as a informative bit? Am I using it for strict entertainment? Am I going full Russian Badger shitpost status, which is a great format, right? It's you take your source regardless of what it is, right? We could be talking about Mass Effect right now. We could be talking about Anthem right now. What are you going to do with it? And I think that that's something that I wanted to kind of add to this, because I have some interesting perspective on that. I come from Yu-Gi-Oh, okay? Every week, like every Friday, you can tell when LGSs actually have their tournaments, because, 10-0 Ubel deck list, or 3-1 second placed Inferno deck profile. Dude, like, search up in your search bar right now on YouTube, right? Ubel deck, right? And you'll just see consistent uploads for that. We've seen the same goddamn deck and variations of it, so many times. But what makes it unique? One, they're marketing it as, say, an undefeated deck at their tournament, right? But two, Some of them can be taking that and doing something with it, explaining, yeah, this is how this interacts. This is how this interacts with the meta, right? And it's understanding not only your audience, but taking that information and turning it into something. Hence why we have content creators. We are creating content from things that have existed. And even if you want to get all, Kip puts on glasses, turns dusty old book, right? Blows off some of that dust. Even if we want to get, antiquated about it, right? How many stories harken back to Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey, right? How many stories have the hero's journey? Star Wars? Lord of the Rings? Right? How many stories function off of the premise of inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion, resolution, right? That kind of format. 14 does it all the time. Final Fantasy 14? Halo does it. If it works, cool. You are pulling from existing material, existing formats, and creating your own spin on it. It's if you're looking at being a VTuber, outside of it being a career, because there's different considerations, anyone can do it. So yeah, go make a Flood video. Go make a Gravemind video. What do you have to bring to the table? Kip, if you're going to make a video in Dead Space 2, what do you have to bring to the table? A lot, actually. But you get what I'm saying. Hopefully this edition made sense.
Is it different enough to draw attention? The thing that does draw attention is new lore, new things, and that's where my concerns lie. Halo Infinite, for example, was meant to be the next 10 years of the Halo franchise.
Yes.
It released a year later than it was originally planned to, and here we are less than 3 years since its launch date, and it's all but been abandoned. Of course, there's still a couple of teams working on Infinite and doing general content updates and store refreshes, but most of the developing teams of 343 Industries have left Halo Infinite high and dry and moved over onto the next project. Now, don't get me wrong, getting a new Halo game every 3 to 5 years, I'm all for that. That's exactly how things were back in the day.
So hear me out, though. If we were to take even just the same Space engine with how it played, right? If we were to take this into a Halo 4, Halo Reach style setting, right? And maybe you nerf grapple hook to not go as far, right? Would it be possible to make a game every 3 to 5 years? Tone back the scale. I personally don't like open world. You might like open world, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think it really added a whole hell of a lot to Infinite. And I wonder how much of that's investors and shareholders clamoring, we need open world, or it trying to be this kind of like weird Destiny type thing, right? It's kind of weird. I understand WoW more by playing Destiny, right? Why do you keep going back to World of Warcraft? Well, I play like the first 3 weeks, and then I play the last 3 weeks of the expansion. We finish the story, get your gear up, and then cool, good game. Try again next expansion. Is that not how Destiny plays? and so I feel like it tried to capitalize on Destiny, and like Destiny, if you try to label yourself as the Destiny killer, or you try to label yourself as the WoW killer, eventually it's just not going to end up well for you. 14 is doing as good of a job as it is, not because it's trying to kill WoW, because 14 is just trying to be its own game. Not that it's trying to kill WoW. WoW's doing that by itself, okay? I want WoW to be better for you players, okay? Like, from the 14 community, from the RuneScape community, as someone that has only tangentially touched WoW, and understands, like, because WoW TCG used to be a thing, and then Blizzard killed it, AEG killed L5R, and Bandai killed the Naruto CCG. I understand, okay? I want your franchise to be better. I want that, nothing more for you. It sucks that your franchise doesn't treat you with respect, and I want you to get that respect. Do you need a hug? Need a glass of chocolate milk? Anything? So circling back around, right? Just circling back, like, Halo tried to set up the next 10 years, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, the DLC model, I was ready to pay hand over fist for DLC stories, right? Think like Destiny, how you have Curse of Osiris, Warmind, Lightfall, Final Shape, right? Totally would have been fine with that. But the game took too long. The game released, people loved it, and then just the netcode issues, netcode connectivity issues were prevalent for over 2 years. I think they're still prevalent. I've installed it at this point because I'm just like, I'm tired of getting desynced. It does not spark joy for me, my guys. I think he brings up incredibly valid points. And if they toned back the scale and they increased the quality, I wonder if they could make a 3 to 5 year bracket. I wonder if they could do that. I think that, and this is kind of a like big brain macro analysis, right? I think a lot of things fail because they try to do too much. If you specialize in nothing but try to do everything, it just makes you cookie cutter. It makes you bland, right? Why do we play Dead Space 2, chat? Because we can TK limbs. Because Kinesis, dude, was so busted in Dead Space 2. It is the best iteration. Dead Space Remake's the most balanced, but Dead Space 2 is the most powerful iteration of TK. Oh my god. Minus that one, the end of 3. But that's different. That's a buff. Like, at base. Like, why do you play Skyrim? Because it's memeable. Because Todd. Because God Rays. Because mods, right? Why do you play something along the lines of Destiny 2? People like loot. Why would you go back and play Diablo 2? Because dungeon runs, because loot, right? Why would you go back and play Baldur's Gate 1 or 2? Because it has a really interesting story for isometric RPGs. Why do you go back and play Halo Reach on the 360? Because that armor customization system was bonkers, my guy. But you see how, even Helldivers, right? Like, the little things like the boot imprint leaving the Helldiver's skull, right? Some of the little things in the game make it an experience. If you're going to sell us a bland, boring world and not specialize in anything, yeah, you're going to fail. So Halo, though, capitalizing on its gun gameplay, right? Even maybe the grappling hook is just relegated to grabbing weapons, right? Like, yoink, grab weapon, and then go for it, right? Like we see in the opening cutscene, right? I think it's the next scene from this. Maybe. I'd have to check. But, like, you see where I'm going with this? That it's spread too thin between the open world, between the new weapons, between the ammo changes, between some of the story bits, like it's and then multiplayer just having consistent issues. If it specialized more and wasn't afraid to just be like Halo 3 2.0, I think a lot of people would be fine with that. And you can have expansive open areas. Halo 1 did it. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to have that, but Halo 1 was not to the scale of Infinite, where we have draw distance issues in the trailer.
Halo CE launched in 2001. Halo 2 launched in 2004. 3-year gap. Halo 3 launched in 2007. 2 to 3 year gap. It's not uncommon to have a sort of 2 to 5 year development difference between the games. It means we get more games more often, new lore more often, new content more often. Now, of course, Halo Infinite was somewhat viewed as a soft reboot for the franchise and took heavy inspiration from Halo CE. But in so doing, what we effectively got then was a campaign that somewhat just extrapolated one specific level from Halo CE into a full-length campaign. And of course, with all the planned campaign DLC now completely cancelled and Halo Infinite evidently now not being 10 years worth of Halo, we're back to this awkward limbo middle ground where we don't know what's really going to happen next. Again, in regards to the Halo Infinite DC, if it was seen through and Halo Infinite became 10 years worth of the Halo franchise, we could have seen some new campaigns that added new lore, that added new angles and new things to explore and to talk about and to theorize about and to theory craft. But it didn't. That's exactly what I cover in my, I think it was a 4-part series where I looked at Halo Infinite DLC and kind of conjectured what could have been but ultimately wasn't. My big concern is that Halo Infinite was taking place on Zeta Halo, a ring that has more deep lore and more history than all of the other rings combined.
Zeta Halo, from what I remember, was one of these surviving original rings, right? From the original array. We had the Palace of Pain, Master Builder Faba, right? We had a lot of stuff happen on Zeta Halo. None of that got explored. Like, we had, a reference to a Flood Silex, right? Like, we saw a Flood Spore on one of the Silexes. Like, there's things this game could have done, and it pisses me off, because, yeah, maybe at this point, 10 plans just don't work, apparently. I mean, you could draw parallels to, 5-year plans, historically, right? Going in a historical sense. Mao Zedong's 5-year plans, how those ended catastrophically, right? So maybe at this point, when applying it to business, deliver the product. Just deliver it. If it works, awesome. Now expand upon it. If it doesn't, well, you're out X million dollars and you recoup it in macro transactions, right? Like, but that being said, I mean, you know, Microsoft's one of the largest companies in the world, and I'm a small VTuber. So, but like, I bought my Xbox copy and my Steam copy of Halo Infinite. I bought 2 copies because I wanted that campaign, and I will never get it. It's not, and as far as I'm aware, it's not lawsuit worthy, right? Like, there's nothing you can do about it. They just said, well, hey, it's not going to happen, much like Mass Effect Andromeda did. Like, hey, roadmap's not going to happen, right? And my issue, to clarify, is not at the devs. They're doing all they can. It's management, it's shareholders and investors. Those are the people you need to be looking at.
And yet, what we really got from that was a reskinned Covenant and a new species that we know nothing about. No. Being chased promptly by basically every aspect of Halo Infinite as a product, being abandoned for the next thing. I mean, by reskinned Covenant, that's basically what the Banished are. The Banished are the Covenant, but not in purple, in red and steel colours. Yeah. And as for the Endless, we really just know their names, the fact that they survived the effects of the Halo, and that the Foreigners imprisoned them. That is, broadly speaking, all we know about the Endless.
This has been, like, what, 3 years, like he said, since Halo Infinite launched? And this is still current in terms of game lore? That blows my mind, mate. Endwalker was what? Final Fantasy Endwalker was 2 years. Like, we're in Dawn Trail now, my guy. So much has happened. Lethal Company has happened. Helldivers, which now we know Microsoft shot down the idea of ODST 2. That's wild to consider. What are they doing from a business strategy standpoint? Like, that blows my mind.
Yet the rich history of Zeta Halo could have spun the story off in any direction.
It could have.
From the Flood to ancient humanity to the Forerunners, new species, offensive bias, mendicant bias, Flood experimentation, the Created and their wrestle for power, Cortana's ultimate demise. With the Banished being brought into Halo Infinite, that could have brought in the Spirit of Fire from Halo Wars 2. It really could have gone in any direction, and yet what we got was one single level of Halo CE expanded out into an entire campaign with a reskinned Covenant and a new species we know 3 small pieces of information about. That's really concerning for an entire new game entry into the franchise.
Yes.
And of course, that translated quite clearly to mean that, broadly speaking, after about 6 months following the release of Halo Infinite, all the new lore, all the new narrative, all the new storyline had been explored and had dried up. 6 months following the release of a brand new game, and the conversation was over. Now, of course, that wasn't the only narrative aspect of Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite had a multiplayer narrative as well, which was actually starting to look like it was going to go in an interesting direction. And then they announced they were no longer doing the multiplayer narrative. And moreover on that, they struggled as a studio to achieve seasonality for content updates.
What was it? Season 1 was like 6 to 8 months or something like that. Season 2 equally as long. And here's the thing that pisses me off about this, right? Is that Halo did the thing. Infinite did the thing where if you bought a battle pass, you kept it unlocked. If I do not do episode 2 in Destiny 2, right? If I don't do this next episode, or let's go back to Final Shape, the bad one, Lightfall. If I go back to Lightfall, I did play Season of the Witch, right? The game was in such a state. I was so burnt out. I felt like I just was so angry with Destiny. I didn't play the end of Season of the Witch. I can't go back and retroactively earn stuff on the battle pass that I bought. And you have, games like Deep Rock Galactic, which have a great battle pass system. So correlation is not causation, or as we say here, dingus words, correlation. Those that know. Correlation is not causation, right? But we're going to see Halo Infinite's multiplayer failed. We're not going to go back to that seasonal system. Why would we go back to people having access to battle passes they paid for at any time, being able to swap between them to earn all the rewards? Why would we do that? The multiplayer just failed anyways, right? And other companies are going to look at this and go, see, well, that failed. Yeah, well, that has to be why it failed. Because what is this that George Carlin says? Something about half the people are stupider than you expect them to be? Something like that. This does apply to people like investors and shareholders and people with big money.
We were expecting seasons every 3 months from the launch of Halo Infinite.
And then
the first couple of seasons lasted
a year,
nearly a year apiece. until they finally achieved seasonality. And when they finally did achieve seasonality and we started getting a season every 3 months, they announced that they were abandoning that too, because the team were moving over to develop the next project, leaving us just with content updates and store refreshes. Now, I don't really like making negative content about Halo because although negative content seems to pull in the views, it does. It's abundantly clear if you look at the videos here on YouTube.
It does 100%, right? I would love to be doing laugh stick comedy videos 100% of the time, right? Like, I look up to people like Russian Badger. I look up to people like Project Melody. I look up to people like Rubik's Raptor. I look up to people like Installation00 because they come across as incredibly informed, well-learned, and just like, let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation about the Halo array over a cup of tea, right? Cool. Awesome. The way YouTube is, and the way that I'm slowly understanding that it works, is YouTube and engagement would rather see a hot take or something that's just catches their attention, and that's what gets the clicks. Meanwhile, you can have a video that tries to address all these points, and we're going to go through this in a systematic fashion, and by the end of this, you're going to be able to make your own conclusion. That will not see clicks in comparison to Kip says Halo 5 is good, Halo Infinite bad, Lamau, right? Probably get 100,000 views. That's a problem from a content standpoint. And so I get it. I understand not wanting to make negative content. And I feel like I fail each and every day when I have to, yet again, have a conversation about Dr. Disrespect or have a conversation about, like Shionhead does videos on, like really stupid people that are just really loud and really obnoxious. Or even talking about certain things in regards to firearms. Like we did our Darwin Award series. And with that, I do have to be more firm, though, because that is a huge safety thing, and I'm here for safety and security when it comes to firearms. Well, sorry, safety and education, right? Like, I feel like I fail each and every day because I'm not as positive as someone like Bow the Whale, Onigiri, Russian Badger. Just things to think about.
Negative content, by the overwhelming majority, has better views than positive content. It's as simple as that. But the problem there is that I don't want to create content where I'm hating on the franchise that I'm supposedly love. Because if I do that, I start hating what I do, and thus hating the franchise. I don't want to hate Halo. I want to love Halo. And I do love Halo. So I don't like making content that's negative. But it's a concern that is prominent enough in my mind at the moment that I feel that it needs to be spoken about. And bear with me, I'm going to try to give this a little bit of a positive uptake towards the end. But in either case, we've had all of these immense issues with Halo Infinite, and ultimately we're less than 3 years down the line of what was supposed to be a 10-year game, and it's practically been abandoned. There's really no new content, and all the new lore is dried up, leaving content creators and fans alike wanting for more. And it just isn't coming.
No.
And now we finally have these rumors that the next project is supposed to be, unconfirmed rumors, it's supposed to be a Halo CE remake.
I don't want it. Already, I don't want it. No, not with the way Infinite was handled. I don't want it. Take it back.
But that it will also simultaneously be introduced to PlayStation players for the first time.
What?
Now, I think I've made this abundantly clear in a previous video. I'm all for that.
I will eat my hat. Okay, I don't actually want to eat a hat, right? But, like, especially with Sony and the Helldivers situation recently, really? If that's true, that's wild.
Opening Halo up to a larger audience base, I am absolutely for that. That brings new people into the franchise, new interest. It pushes the franchise back up to somewhere hopefully approximating where it was back in its heyday. I don't think it's ever really going to quite achieve the golden era it once had.
See, that's weird to me, though, because if there's rumors of Xbox titles coming to PlayStation, we still don't have Demon's Souls on PC. We still don't have Bloodborne on PC. Sony IPs, well, I think, is Demon's Souls Sony or is that FromSoft? Because I know the Bloodborne thing is because Sony owns the IP, right? So I view this as a situation, as it stands in a vacuum, if this is true, that Sony PlayStation will be getting these games, but Sony will be giving nothing in return. Especially to the PC audience, which Microsoft has started to cater towards. And even then, that couples with I saw a Bellier News thing, something about Microsoft Games Pass removing like day one titles and stuff. I think, right? That's weird to me. That's a deeper discussion in itself.
I think that day is gone, but it's at least going to make it slightly more prominent once more. But ultimately, bringing new people into the franchise only works to all of our advantage, because it will show to Microsoft, to 343 Industries, that there is interest in Halo as a franchise.
I agree with his statements 100%. What I'm saying is personal bias, like, understand that.
And that perhaps it's worth investing a little bit more, maybe lending the franchise out to other developers so that more Halo projects can be developed simultaneously, ultimately leading to more Halo products for us to consume, which will ultimately bring more people into the franchise. It's a positive feedback loop. That I'm all for opening Halo up to a larger audience. However, judging by the way in which Halo Infinite has been delivered to us, and unfortunately Halo Infinite isn't unique in this regard.
Actually, you know what this could potentially open up? So, Installation00 has videos on Halo and copyright, right? Like how you can use certain things, but you can't use Halo 4 soundtrack because Sony owns the distribution rights for that. And in using Halo 4 music in your videos, you can get copyright claimed by Sony. I wonder if Microsoft does this, if that can in any way, shape, or form invalidate the creation thing that they have, right? Why Installation00 uses Halo 1, 2, 3 music and Reach music, right? Because there's it's a clause or something like, yeah, you don't own it, but you can sure use it for content. I wonder if Sony getting a hold of Halo 1, 2, even just CE, right? But Halo 1, 2, 3, and maybe even Reach, if that might invalidate that for a lot of creators. And knowing how copyright claims and strikes don't have a statute of limitations, we could hypothetically see a situation where creators like Installation00, like all these other Halo creators that use Halo music, right? They could just get copyright claimed retroactively because there's no statute of limitations to it. It could be 5 years from initial post date, and they could still do it. They don't have the rights to that music. But see, that's the thing, though, is that Sony owns the distribution rights for Halo 4, and depending on what legalese gets involved, I wonder if they can go, well, we distribute Halo, 1, 2, 3, and Reach now on PlayStation 5. We can claim this now. I don't know. A lawyer would have to look at that. I don't have enough money for a lawyer to look at that. Like, that's a concern that I could see with this going over. There's no guarantee that it would be kept the same. And that's what scares me.
Particularly since 343 has had tenure over the Halo franchise, I am concerned about the Halo CE remake. Because the Halo CE remake, to be successful, will have to do something that 343 Industries has been proven time and time again to struggle with tremendously since basically the studio's inception. The Halo CE remake needs to honor the original game to start with. It needs to give the long-term fans of the Halo franchise what we've come to expect from a Halo title. It needs to bring the product as it was originally intended to an entirely new audience from the PlayStation platform, while also offering some new narratives, some new storylines, and some new journeys that keep the interest of the original Halo fans without being overly ambitious and moving too far away from what is quintessentially Halo. If we just get a Halo CE anniversary, that's just not going to cut it. But it does need to honor the original game without changing from the storyline's original intentions, while still also offering something new, adding extraneous detail from the deep lore of the Halo universe, but also still being palatable for a new audience being introduced to the franchise for the first time. It is an immensely fine and delicate balancing act that 343 has proved they struggle with tremendously. Case in point, Halo CE made some questionable choices in regards to its art style and the ambience that most definitely detracted from the overall feel of the game.
Wasn't Johnson's initial speech when they're dropping on the ring, wasn't that different in Anniversary versus original CE? He said something differently, and I think that is something that they did change.
But it did do some things quite well. The terminals that expanded on the narrative of the universe were very good, and it did some of the aesthetics quite nicely as well. For example, the Pillar of Autumn and the art style shifts in the Pillar of Autumn's stylization that honoured the original lore on how the Pillar of Autumn was constructed. Spartan Assault and Spartan Strike were mobile games that were far too niche to have any long-term shelf life and were a little clunky to use, but it offered Halo from a different perspective and a different kind of experience of the Halo universe. MCC launched in almost an entirely broken condition and took a very long time, I believe over a year, to get to a playable condition, even to the point that Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach were retroactively added into MCC as something of an apology about the way in which the game first shipped. But
I want to cite as well, because hasn't attention shifted away from MCC now? Do we still not have PC to Xbox connectivity for Halo 1? There's a very specific interaction where if you try to play on PC and co-op with somebody on an Xbox, Halo 1, Halo CE, it does not allow it. You will not do it. So we can still argue that we're still missing features from MCC.
They did the remaster of Halo 2 extraordinarily well and honoured the original stylization of the original game. Halo 4 made some narrative choices that shifted rather abruptly away from the initially implied lore of the Halo universe, whilst also implementing some art style changes which some people really just didn't gravitate towards. And it delivered a campaign which was very go here, press this button, go there, press that button. But it was graphically very beautiful, and Chief and Cortana's story, particularly as a centre point of Halo 4, had matured and was wrestling with some themes that I celebrate even to this day. The problem is, 343 Industries' next entry was Halo 5 Guardians, which rendered most of the narrative decisions they made in Halo 4 practically moot, rendering Cortana's sacrifice and her entire story arc and her character development through Halo 4 entirely useless. They brought
100%. Halo 5 is definitely seen as a betrayal. I thought the game played fine. I think the game still plays better than Infinite currently. It was seen as a betrayal to a lot of people. Installation00, I think, has played through it, by his own admission, I think once. I've played through it 2, 3, 4 times. I want to go through it again at some point just to see how it plays in modern day. I may like it, but I also understand why the community hates it. And that's the middle ground. I may like it. I understand why you hate it, though.
back as an evil empress, while also delivering a campaign which was, to the overwhelming majority, focused on a new group of Spartan 4s, 2 of which are characters we knew about beforehand, with Locke being foreshadowed and explored slightly in Halo Forward Unto Dawn, and with Buck being a returning character and fan favourite from Halo 3, but the other 2 were complete unknowns, no foreshadowing, no backstory, and I'm afraid their character development during Halo 5 was negligible. They had the depth of a spoon. And yet all the while that we were dealing with that, we also had only 3 levels dedicated to a team of Spartans that have been absolutely and utterly entrenched in the core of Halo lore since 2002. Blue Team are one of the most legendary team of Spartans in the Halo universe, and we got 3 levels for them out of a wider campaign. And during the majority of the campaign, those 3 members of Blue Team are AI controlled teammates who really only act to draw fire so that you can go around and do the objectives and do what you need to do.
If you play Halo 5, make sure you update it. The AI in base is god-awful. You will wipe so many times because of the AI, because they just eat shots. So make sure you update the game to current patch, whatever the patch is. Like, the AI gets better once you update it. Good God, I didn't have internet, so I couldn't update it at the time. I went through the entirety of that legendary solo. That was rough.
explore them individually. It doesn't explore narratively who they are, or what they're good at, their strengths, their weaknesses, their backstories. They are simply there as AI assistants and bullet sponges. Halo Wars 2 continued an earlier story and was overall very good, and introduced a new faction, the Banished, with their leader Aatrox, which were fascinating and interesting characters. But as it was an RTS game, it wasn't really kind of considered a mainline Halo game. I've already covered Infinite and its shortcomings, and in spite of this, I still hugely enjoyed the campaign, and I still occasionally play the multiplayer. But the point I'm getting at is this: 343 have always struggled finding and maintaining that very delicate balance between honouring the original franchise and bringing something new to the table, which is why I'm so concerned about the Halo CE remake. If we just get a Halo CE anniversary, then yeah, the long-term fans will be okay with that, but they'll lose interest immensely fast. If it's overly ambitious and goes a completely different direction, it will upset the long-term fans because it won't be honouring the original material. And if it's a
that point, they have to pick and choose what they want to do. Who do they want to piss off?
new experience aimed specifically at new Halo fans and bringing new people into the franchise, it will upset the long-term fans, because that's a mistake that 343 have made before. So it needs to strike that perfect, delicate balance. But that's exactly where history has proven that 343 struggles the most. Now, I know that 343 is under new management and has been for quite a while, and credit where credit is due. Since that has happened, things have been, on the whole, much better. But we have to bear in mind that this management only came into effect after the launch of Halo Infinite, which means we have no idea how the studio in its current format will be able to cope with the launch of a new product. The studio in this new format is untested in launching a new title. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm still concerned as to whether or not that balance can be struck. And of course,
It's going to be the Destiny effect. Day one, it's going to be broken. We're going to use just issues day one. Or like Star Wars Battlefront 2, the remake that they did, the remaster, right? 60 gigabytes, broken day one, can't get into lobbies. Good God, like, I want these games to succeed, but goddamn, these studios are making it really hard, dude.
I'm not completely oblivious to what goes on social media in regards to 343 Industries and Halo as a franchise and the developers behind it. I'm not oblivious to things that are going on there. So when you add to this the apparent one-sided animosity between 343 Industries and Bungie devs, and really my big worry is for content. Not just myself, but other content creators have said that really lore has dried up in the March following the release of Halo Infinite. Right. And my big concern is that if we do get a Halo CE remake and it's not ambitious enough, we're ultimately just going to get a rehash of Halo CE, which will mean it will add nothing to the lore and for us to discuss and to theorize and to theory craft with.
So hear me out. This thus becomes a toxic cycle, because as a Halo creator, you are now incentivized to do whatever is new Halo, right? Say if they made Halo, if they make Halo CE anniversary, and it's a broken, buggy mess, and matchmaking doesn't work. Even if there's matchmaking in the game, there's no split screen co-op. You have to go into that. You have to analyze that. You have to present your findings, because that's, clicks, right? Oh, hey, Halo CE anniversary is the newest thing, right? And you got to do it anyways. And I'm sure Installation00 is more than happy to buy Halo CE anniversary to see what they add, what they do different, if it's a good port or not, right? And at that point, you even have to gauge, is it going to be worth it to the public? Say if it comes out, right, and the Act Man does a video saying this game is absolutely trash, and let's say objectively it's trash, right? Everybody's dunking on this game. Does that mean people are going to want to flock to that? And you see how this starts to become a spiral of negative expectations along with expectations. At the end of the day, ignore haters, right? Okay, I get people telling me to get a job every single day. It's really funny at this point. I just say, thank you for the metrics, ooh woo. And then we're good. Like, this does become a problem with Halo. And so what it ends up being is there's clear interest in Halo. What do you do with that? see my entire prior earlier in the video thing about what kind of content you're wanting to do. If the informational content isn't quite there, but you still want to, you have to make a choice. Do you still want to deliver informational content at the cost of metrics, or do you want to branch out and do something else? But there's also no guarantee that branching out is even successful, right? So, or is there a happy middle ground that you can do? Can you do informational content while having entertaining content on the in the background, right? Is there a happy medium in the middle that you could do, right? Not full on like, I'm going to write a 3-page script kind of thing, right? But like, well, I'm going to write a 1-page script. I'm going to see how this event goes, right? So say Installation00 gets together with Hidden Xperia, Mint Blitz, a lot of these other creators, right? And say they do a Halo tournament, right? And then you kind of have this like Forged in Fire, Deadliest Warrior situation, right? Where you'll have, I don't know, you'll have blue team headed by Hidden Xperia, and then you have red team headed by Mint Blitz. I'm just throwing names out there because they're the names that I know, right? And then you have, Caster, Installation00. Well, you see, we're doing a Halo Reach in this game, and we're actually using the Mark V platform for this. The Mark V platform does it, and you kind of offer that caster commentary over that. Will that succeed? I don't know. You also have to get people on board for something like that. I think that looking on Twitch, Halo's official championship series still sees a lot of views, right? What, concurrent 10 to 30,000 viewers when it goes live? So, like, there's things that I feel you could do with Halo. The interest is there, but the interest is not peaked. And there's no guarantee that branching out or the new game is going to pique interest. So, when all roads lead to a dead end, what do you do to progress forward? What do you want to do with your content? And I think that is not just in this situation, but if you're thinking about content, if you're stuck in a rut, if you're stuck on writing a paper, if you're stuck on writing a book, if all roads lead to a dead end, how do you progress? Do you need to maybe go back? Do you need to do a U-turn, turn slightly to the left, approach it from a different angle? You can still talk about Halo, and at the end of the day, you can still be informative about Halo. You could be informative about Destiny. But say you're doing Root of Nightmares, right? You're doing Root of Nightmares, and then you swap on Encounter 1, you swap to your Eager Edge Sword, and then you go into, I'm using the Eager Edge Sword. I'm using Half-Truth, it's an Arc Sword, has Eager Edge on it, allows me to move a lot faster, right? To weave it in a little better, right? It's the difference between talking at somebody and talking to somebody, right? Where if I were to read a chat message, right? Random chat message. I think Kelly has only ever made 2 appearances, Halo 4 and Forward Unto Dawn, how I'm talking at you, talking to you. I think Kelly has only ever made 2 appearances in the games, Halo 4 and Forward Unto Dawn. Neither of which really didn't do anything with her, but you see the difference in there. And so you can apply that same logic to videos. You can apply that same logic to, if I want to talk to you about the Scout platform, the, Mark V Scout, that's Reach, I think. I want to talk to you about the specifics of that, my favorite Scout helmet, right? How do I find a way to weave that in, right? Maybe I'm doing a thing where it's a multiplayer kill clip montage, Snoop Dogg doing the wax on, wax off, right? As your attention grabber. No, I wouldn't do that. We're way past that. We're so far past that on YouTube. Oh my God. And then, it goes on to explain, the Scout platform. In lore, these do these kind of things, right? This is what the Scout platform does. These are the cool people that do it. Jump cut to Jun sniping, right? I think there's things that you could do. And I think that Halo has lost a lot of that fun, but that's also a lot of modern gaming. A lot of modern gaming has lost that fun aspect, that fun ability, because now, day one, okay, what's the meta build? Okay, meta build is this. Use these attachments. Cool, we're good. I'm playing peak performance, right? And not like, man, have you ever tried the Needler? Bro, that Needler goes hard. You ever tried the green gun? Ever tried plasma pistol and CE on Legendary? It's so plentiful, and it goes hard, right? And you got people like Video Game Donkey. Oh, I hate the plasma pistol, right? But you can have that back and forth. You can make something out of that. You can create something.
But if it's too ambitious, it risks alienating the existing fan base once more. And even if the Halo CE remake is made specifically for the new fans that will find the franchise from the PlayStation platform, they may play that Halo CE remake and then think to themselves, well, if that was good, I want to explore Halo more broadly and look at some of the other games. They could then retroactively go back to the MCC. Maybe if the MCC is ported to the PlayStation, that may be on the cards, we don't know, but if they do, then the new game, the new Halo CE remake, will be at odds with the established storyline from the previous games, being confusing and convoluted for these new fans, which would ultimately lead to them losing interest and not committing to the franchise.
I see that all the time with Destiny. Kip, how do I start Destiny? Kip, where do I start Destiny? What do I do? And that's not to poke fun at you guys. That's what happens when you have a story spanning 10 plus years. Even then in D1, I have no idea what to do when I get to D1. I want to go Blitz Outbreak Prime in whatever capacity I can. I have no idea what to do. And that's fair. That's why you have people, content creators, influencers, personalities able to direct you. If you're wanting to start Halo, which way you want to start? The official lore way? Go start with Reach. You want to start how it was intended? Oh boy. Go start with CE Vanilla, baby. Ooh, we're talking not even updated anniversary textures, OGCE. And each of them has their own merits to it.
A balancing act that worries me tremendously, and I'm still very excited about the future of Halo. Mainly my concerns rest on the long-term health of the Halo franchise, and more broadly speaking, the storyline. If I can make a suggestion to 343 Industries, the best thing, truly the best thing you could do right now is, if there is any animosity, drop any animosity towards the original Halo creators or Bungie devs and seek their opinions and guidance if you're uncertain on what the original intentions for Halo CE were. Again, if a Halo CE remake is where we're going with the next Halo game, if these rumors are true, it stands to reason you need to understand fully what the original intentions for the game were before levels were cut, before content was cut, before storylines were adjusted. And the people that know that the best were the people that were there at the time. Listen to the fans you already have first before overly committing to bringing in new fans. A new audience will come if you make a brilliant game, but if you make a game specifically for new fans, you risk losing the old ones and then ultimately repeating the problem for the following games. Once again chasing the new fans to the risk of losing the older ones. As much as it pains me to say this during a content drought, take your time. Craft an engaging and heavily interconnected narrative that deals with slightly more gritty and mature themes. Weave deep mysteries that hint to Halo's deep lore and dark past. Use external media as reference points, just as the biblical texts, the Hollow Men, Dante's Inferno have been so heavily referenced in prior games. Honour the existing lore and deliver something new that takes direct inspiration from Halo's expansive history.
I love that Dante's Inferno is referenced so much. Even in anime like Code Geass, you have There Is No Hope Here or whatever in, Greek? Dude, Dante's Inferno is so good because it's his pillow book, his wet dream fanfic. It's so good. But people take it so seriously, dude. Oh, I love it, dude. Oh, I love seeing Dante's Inferno places.
And simply takes it to the next logical step. You have in your laps one of the greatest game franchises that has ever existed. Treat it as such. Honour its roots and pave the way to a future that we can all be proud of.
Well said.
And until next time.
It was a good video.
Thanks for watching.
Conclusion.
If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Be sure to like the video if you did, and pop a comment below on what you'd like me to cover next. I just want to take a moment to thank my patrons, Spartan10148, the Metarch of my facility, Falcon, Sophia, Mikhail, Ashley, Jordan, and Esoteric Sight, my dutiful monitors, Darian, Legions Lost, Lab Rat, Spartan0137, Jacob Kemp, Sean, Element Zero, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger, Evermore, Personal Devil, Aldiaz, Toxic, Scion Esports, Gems, Saber, and Relentless, my diligent sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, my loyal enforcers, and all other patrons who continue to support the channel. If you want your name on the end of the video and some perks earned along the way, head over to Patreon and consider supporting the channel yourself. Big shout out to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members, Spartan137, Jacob Kemp, Talia, Fenrir, Bornstella, Jimbo, and Balaz. and all the other YouTube members keeping my installation running on that glorious vacuum energy, with a special mention to the accursed hunter. Shout out to John due to the mathematical formula used to determine the area within a pentadodecahedron.
Nice!
Oh, and Lena because that sandwich. Remember, there are tons of ways to support the channel and keep my installation pumping out content at a breakneck speed. Much love to you all, take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.
I think it was a good video. I have somehow managed to massacre his video. I apologize, Installation00, for the sheer amount of pausing and added commentary. Like, there's transformative and then there's excessive. Let's be real. If you have not checked out Installation00, do yourself a favor, go ahead and check him out. There's a lot of React content creators that don't like to sort. They just don't. Like, we have a description section for that reason. Go to the description section. I have linked you the original video and his channel for your convenience. Go check him out. I've made it as easy as possible. And I like that he summed it up. The end of this video is, look, you need to ask why. Why did the original Halo succeed, right? 343. Why did what Bungie do? Why was it received so well? Why did you do it in this way? Why was this the result? Why is what we're doing, not working, right? And I think that that continues to be my philosophy. The best question you can ask in life is why. So, I want Halo to be good. I want Halo to be back, baby. I want Halo 3, Halo Infinite, even Halo 4, right? I want that back. It was such a good time, and it's so upsetting that it's impossible at this point to recreate a lot of that. Although I do have hope for Halo, and being in the hands of people like Installation00, I think that there's a lot of ability for some creators to do some really good things and absolutely just break the internet. So if you have not, check out Installation00. That is going to be all for this one. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agreed with this or if you didn't, or if you think this was excessively transformative, and have a good day.